Hello everybody, this is Kent from 214 Alpha. We got another sprint review, and I'm going to make this one short and sweet because I'm pretty excited about going swimming. It's Texas, it's hot, and the streams are, about 2 feet deep, and so swimming for me means I lay on my back and I throw rocks for a few hours and get sunburnt, which I just love, right? So the sprint review process is, as I talked about before, it's a really important part of software development. It's a really critical best practice in software development. And I emphasize this a lot because a lot of software engineers might know how to write software, but they don't know how to release it. They're actually terrible at execution. So what they usually do is go into what I call a death march, where they develop almost a cognitive monologue about what they think the person needs, and then they'll spend 6 months writing software, and it ends up being garbage that has to be reworked because they don't know what they're doing. And the reason they don't know what they're doing is they don't actually share their notes and their progress with the customer, which in this case is Ed. Ed is sitting there, and he's actually spending time with the people that are going to use the software. So every 2 weeks we release software. That's another thing we do. Working with the product owner, Trudy, and the customer, Ed, and then the engineers, we get to show the progress we're making, and that forces the engineers to release software on a regular basis. And then we can demonstrate sooner rather than later that there might be a drift between what we think they need and what they need. Also, customers' needs change because things are evolving. There's no such thing as steady state. So anyway, this is what the sprint review does. We get them all in a room and we demonstrate, we show our notes and we show the software. So in this case, Borjan's going to demonstrate, it's part of the development environment of the interface. And this is a mobile application. And so Ed wants to be able to see what this looks like so he can, he'll get an update to this, pretty soon, a day or so, that gets pushed to his device. And he's able to then play with it, provide feedback. But here he gets a preview of what this is going to look like. And so what we're talking about are categories. And the categories, it's an understated term. What it is actually a pretty sophisticated capability. There's inventory, obviously. There's people that are in this particular customer environment, this customer that we're working with. They have an inventory for a community. And in this case, let's say that the curator of the inventory wants to add a story or a piece of knowledge or a seed, say barley seed or something like that, or a node or whatever else that they want to do. And so when they add this capability in, they they categorize it, they add the information about the inventory item, and then they move on. The category itself is actually more than just it's not just a field. There's actually some algorithmic automation, sophistication behind the scenes. So, again, this is one of the great things about having such a, good product owners. A product owner will listen to what the customer needs and then demonstrate those requirements back to the engineers. If it would have been as simple as just listening to what the customer thinks they need, we would have just created, a category. But this is actually an actionable thing. In this case, it's, let's say that somebody that is using the software says, I want to subscribe to updates to let me know when green tree seeds, I had to say this 50 times. I was really tongue-tied on this, tongue-tied. Tongue-tied. I was tongue-tied on the green tree seeds versus chartreuse tree seeds. Oh my God, this is terrible. What a catastrophe. So they want to be able to be informed when this is available, right? So here's a great use case is that let's say that there's a curator of the inventory for one of these pods, basically an organization, if you will, within this network. And they want to be informed when new ones are made available that fit within their policy. Let's say that they only want to purchase green tree seeds or chartreuse green trees, tree seeds, oh, man, or whatever else. They only want to be informed when the things are, ethically sourced and come from a particular region, so it can trigger a purchase decision, right? And so there's another part of this as well. That, of course, that's an automation capability. This is actually wish list. A wish list is that the users of this particular inventory might want to say, I would like to see more chartreuse tree seeds, or I'd like to see these books on this particular topic, and they can say, this is my favorite, this is whatever, they can vote on it. The more of those that come in, this actually can help inform not just the inventory decisions on the part of the curator, but could technically be automated. So let's say that there's a 2.14 increase in requests for chartreuse tree seeds within a certain pod, within a certain policy over the course of 6 weeks. That might trigger a smart contract to basically execute. I say smart contract because what we're talking about is something that leverages the blockchain platform. And one of the benefits of the blockchain platform is it facilitates high trust between strangers, right? That's why we're using it. And I come from the security industry, and my expertise is anti-fraud. I know a lot about how people engage in fraud online. That's my expertise. So we wanted to build a platform from the ground up that would discourage fraud. We need to make sure that there's high trust, and that's why we're using these architectures. So, blockchain is a distributed ledger. right? But it has a programmatic interface, and that interface is facilitated through something called smart contracts. And the smart contracts can become actually quite sophisticated, pretty neat stuff. So you could define a policy for your community that says, I would like to purchase whatever products for my Texas town, as long as it fits within these criteria. You could set a policy for your community. And as you can see, based on what we're demonstrating in this this video, we could sprint review. We could say a policy that says, our community will only purchase green tree seeds for our for this area if they come from other Texas farmers that are locally owned and smaller than a certain size, that are blah blah blah. You could actually set whatever policy, and this would actually ensure that the purchase decisions were in alignment with what the community had decided, and it forces a certain community accountability. You can vote with your buck, right? You can demonstrate that you would like to keep your money local or whatever else. So anyway, there's other things we're working on. Prior sprint review, we demonstrated how we could add deeds and titles to our wallet and leverage them to do economic stimulus within a community. So we're still plugging that into the user interface, and there's a whole lot of other stuff. But anyway, we've got another sprint review in a couple weeks, so we'll just show you then. And for now, I'm about ready to jump into a stream and throw some rocks and call it swimming. So anyway, I hope you all have a good day. Cheers.